occasion I get questions about soil mixes. And so today I would like to do 101 of seed starting and cutting mix. I was just about to plant some more sweet corn, some snap beans, and some Manoa lettuce seed here when it dawned on me, after putting the soils out in my flat, that I get so many questions about soils. And I thought I'd cover it just a little bit this morning. The soil is the bottom line. If you cheat on soil, if you try to use inferior soils, you will have inferior plants that have been cheated. If you want really good, strong plants, like the ones you usually see in my garden, start off with a really good soil mix. And the mix I'm using here in this flat is specifically designed for starting seeds or for rooting cuttings. That's all I'm going to talk about today. And so what we have here is, this mix is made from milled sphagnum peat moss, perlite, that's the little white things in there, which is a popped volcanic rock, if anybody's curious as to what it was. There's a stone, they heat it, and it pops like popcorn. And it also has a percentage, probably about 1/3, of coconut coir, which is the ground material from coconut husks. After they shell them out, it's that husk on the outside. It's pretty much the same stuff they used to make a cocoa doormat from, but it's ground up in this case, and we use it like cocoa peat, actually. And so it's an addition with the sphagnum. Sphagnum isn't the most environmentally friendly material because it's a living moss that has to be harvested from a bog. Now, if you're getting it out of Canada or if you're getting it out of Wisconsin, the material has been sustainably harvested because it will regrow every 7 years. But there are other places on the planet where it's not being harvested that way and the bogs are being raped. Anyway, it is an excellent material and I use it. But I have lately turned towards mixing it with coconut hull. Alright, here's the master tub. In the tub we have about 20% perlite by volume mixed with about half and half milled sphagnum peat and cocoa peat or cocoa coir. This material is perfect for rooting cuttings or for getting seeds to sprout. It has plenty of moisture holding capacity. This milled sphagnum peat is really, really good at holding moisture, about 25 times its weight, and about 8 times more than any soil will. The perlite holds predominantly air, so it increases the porosity of the mix. And depending on what grade of coconut coir you're using, it could do either. In some cases, the larger pieces are definitely good for aeration. I use big chunks of it for holding orchids, for instance. In this case, it's ground to about the same consistency as the peat, and it pretty much acts the same. It doesn't hold quite as much water as peat does. We use the three materials in combination because each has its own little feature as far as what it's good for and what it's not good for. And so when you mix them together, they come up with something that's really quite perfect. There's no fertilizer in this mix at all, although it is inoculated with mycorrhizal fungi. And that'll colonize the roots of the plants, and when I move the plants into the field, it'll colonize the ground. So this is an organic seed starting mix because of the mycorrhizae. As the plants come up later on, I will apply fertilizers to them, but there's no need to have fertilizer in the soil when starting cuttings or seeds until they start to produce roots, because they just can't take anything up anyway until there's a root on the bottom. And so with seedlings, as they start to produce true leaves and begin to root out, then they will need some food. But until then, avoid fertilizing seed starting mixes. It just creates mold and bacteria that you didn't want. There really isn't a whole heck of a lot more to say about it, frankly. I think that's pretty much the bottom line. I'm just going to poke some holes in here with my fingertips to hold corn and bean seeds. And then we're just going to sow the seeds inside the flat, cover it up with the soil, and stick it out in the rain. That's about all that's required. Now if you were doing cuttings, you're probably going to use a little bit more volume than these little cells I'm using for seeds here. I like to use the small cells for seeds. It avoids overwatering the seeds, and it also will give me more space on my tables. As the plants grow, I'll shift them up to larger containers. Alrighty, there's the 101 of seed starting mixes. Aloha and happy gardening.